first to my wife, and then after that I watched it with the kids because I figured it's safe for the kids to watch. How it works is this: pretty much, I want to do two reviews. One review is going to be a non-spoiler, and the other one's going to be a spoiler review. I'm going to try and keep this as quick as possible, and I talk the wonderful things about the movie, as well as what the things that are bothersome or troublesome to me about it. I'll try to keep it quick. First and foremost, I want to talk to you about the movie Prey. Um, what I want to show you, look, I do artwork and stuff. So, for example, this is one of my centerpieces at the night markets, and this is my predator. And so, pretty much what I have there is that, and also I made another one too, and it's a human predator. What I'll do at the end of it, I'll mask them so you can see it. So you got to hang in there to see what they look like unmasked. First and foremost, I have my list that I want to read to you. He goes, one, the predator. He was ugly. He was ugly, the ugliest predator you're ever gonna see in your life. That was the way he just was straight up ugly. What the story is about, the synopsis of the story is that you have yourself a young warrior who wants to have she's pretty much a young warrior. She's actually belongs. And so what happens is like she ends up wanting to prove her worth against an unknown threat. At first it was she saw something and she was trying to hunt, and every day she tried to hunt, and something in the sky. She saw a thunderbird in the sky, and it's a sign that something is coming. And pretty much what we end up seeing was like one of the predators on the way in. Movie, I must admit, you have to take it as a standalone movie. If you look at it as part of the everything, it doesn't. You come across a lot of things. You start wondering questions. And I'm talking about more of that in my spoiler review. But when you first look at this, you have a situation where she wants to prove herself as who she is as an individual. She has the armaments, and she has her training, and she tries to go after animals, and she's trying to prove herself that she's a hunter. She keeps like innocence trying and failing until finally she has to figure out. She comes in contact with this major enemy, and this major enemy is no joke. He's a real no joke. It's a predator, and she has to figure out how to defeat him. And it's a very interesting movie in that sense. I pretty much she had to figure out a new way to defeat him. And so what's interesting about this whole movie is that when you look at it from a point of view like how the normal movies go in the Predator series, it's usually it always kind of ends the same way. You have a threat come in, you have the unknown threat. You got to figure out, pick up the pieces, and from there you got to figure out how to solve the problem. And it's always an unconventional way how they beat the enemy. And in this one, very much so, a very unconventional way how she beats the enemy. I enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I had to watch it 2 times. The first time I watched it just because it was novelty. And when you watch a movie novelty, it's not really, you can't really see anything to it, but you have to kind of like watch it the second time. And so when the first time I watched it with my wife, it was pretty much we watched it and we totally enjoyed watching it because it's brand new. We're looking forward to it, and pretty much I've been making like different predator type Yautja. The name of the predator clan is the Yautja. That's Yautja, the Yautja, because in the predator movies, they never really sit down and explain their whole culture to you or anything like that. So the whole thing, they always come in and they're more like not so much predator, more like a hunter. And so that's kind of the emphasis of this movie in and of itself. Is more like instead of it being predator, because it's they don't really eat people or but pretty much what they're doing, they're taking trophies, and so it's always kind of been that way. So I found this very interesting. I'm looking forward to the Blu-ray and the DVD from this. Hopefully the Hulu puts this on a DVD or Blu-ray so I can have it as one of the features. I thought it was a good movie. I totally enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more stuff to it. Once again, word of advice: you see this movie, think of it as a standalone movie. Don't look at it as one of those movies where it's like it fits into the thing, because it does fit in, but it's like it's a different kind of take on it. Right, so I'll explain more to that in my spoiler review, which I'm going to do in a couple seconds. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take like a second, so you can actually pause it or go watch the movie and then come back, and then we'll be able to give you my point of view on the whole video. So in the meantime, what I'll do is just kind of show you some of the Predator. So at the end of I'll show you this one. So at the end of this video, I'll show you this one. So this is my Chico, and so what happens is here I'm going to show you her face. So she is a regular person. She's a regular person, and so she has all her weapons and stuff too. It's all made of masking tape, folks. Masking tape and weapons, and it's pretty cool. I had to braid her hair, and then so it was pretty cool. So that's one. Okay, and her mask fits right back on. Very cool. They hold upside down. Everything holds upside down because it's like connected to the base. And so here you have. So anyway, so here's that. Here's her weapons. A full view of what she looks like. Really cool predator. She rose up into the ranks of the predator. That doesn't mean it happens in the movie. Just want you to know this is one of the predators that I made. The other one, the predator that I've made that pretty much gets a lot of people to stop and look is this one. This one is my Yautja. I call him Cobalt, the clan leader, because I have he's like the I made many predators, but this one is mini Yautja, and so this is one I made. So I'm going to show you his face, what he looks like. So this is him. So this, and here's his face. Here's his predator face. Here's his whole big face. Open it. So you have this predator face, ugly predator face. All right, so you have that. And here's his mask. Here's his weapons. Here's what it looks like. Pretty much there. And then here you have his shoulder caster. Right? And you have his you got the blades, retractable blades, which don't really retract. And then you have, like, he has a spear, and the spear I had to put like a wire on it, so the spear has a wire. You can see, and he has his armor, and he's got his little toes and everything too. So he has little toes and little feet. So with that said, let me tell you about the spoiler review now. So okay, so you had your chance to block it and pause it. So you get a couple seconds, and then we're gonna go into spoiler review. All right. So first and foremost, on the spoiler review, I was saying before that the Predator is really ugly. So I'm actually working on the Predator for the movie, and he was really ugly dude. He's very, very ugly dude. So this is kind of what he looks like. Well, without looking at his face, but this is what he looks like. This is me just kind of working on him right now. I'm not finished with him, but when I went and finish with him, you'll see him on my Instagram page. Anyway, so let me tell you about the spoiler review. Number one. First and foremost, if you've seen this movie, then you've seen how it is, how it starts, and how it begins. And I like how it was from the beginning. One of the things I found was interesting, that how they really kind of tied into Comanche people into this movie, and they were able to use it. They actually have the Comanche language, so you can actually have it translated completely in Comanche. And then you have where they showed in 1719, you have it with the French and the French trappers and how they were doing all the trapping stuff. And then you have the natives of the land, the Comanche, and how their tribe works and their honor system. The very beginning, you find that she's trying to hunt for a deer, and she kind of misses it. And eventually, she kind of settles down, realizing that she can't really catch a deer, but she's trying to prove her worth. She wants to I can't remember the word they said for her to prove her worth, but it was like one of those things where she had to kind of like show that she's honorable. And so they're thinking that her brother was very supportive of her and wanted her to do this, and so he wanted to go. Long story, was that they wanted to go fight a lion. They said a lion took one of the people, and they had to go fight the lion to go save their persons. So you showed that she's a medicine lady. She's able to work with medicine, and that she understands about this certain kind of flower, and the type of flower that kind of helps with the healing. So that flower becomes very important later in the movie. So you have that where she's going through the movie, and they try to find a lion, and eventually she sees that there's in the same time a predator enters into the arena. So pretty much at that point, they show the progression of beast and predator versus prey kind of situation, the dichotomy of that. So when they first start off, they show that she is a person in the village, and she's not considered anything other than a medicine person, which is very important, by the way. And that's very important because if you have medicine, you get sick out in the woods, you really get help. And that's a very important commodity to have. So her knowledge of medicines comes along and plays along very well in the movie. And so she wants to go out and be a hunter. Why? Because her father gave her an axe, a mighty axe that she can use actually use to go and fight, and to well, not so much a fight, but she gave it from her dad, and her dad passed away. That's one of the big things in the story. And that sets it up for me, because when I watched the first time, I totally missed that part about the axe. But when I watched the second time, I said, okay, you know what? I see the axe is very important, because now the axe means something. It's from her father. That's a tribal honorable thing. And so that's kind of thing where I think. Well, I'll tell you some more about the story. So eventually, what happens? She goes to hunt the lion, and that's when they're in the lion. You see, like, there's an ant, and then a mouse eats the ant, and then the snake eats the mouse. And then so what happens? The snake can sense the predator, because the animals can sense the predator. Even though we can't see it, the animals all have their super senses, and they can see heat, and they can smell things. Whereas we are just like, we can't smell, we can't see nothing. But as for them, the animals can sense, otherworldly things, especially the predator, and beyond his invisibility cloak. So I'm thinking this predator was like the first time he's ever done this. First time they've ever actually entered the human realm to hunt, because it seems as though, based on the armor alone, that it just seemed like it was they weren't aware of what was coming. Maybe they had attacked before, but the armor they had was slightly more, more scientific, or slightly more better than the culture around them. And so looking at the kind of weapons they had, it seemed like they may have fought in the Iron Age, or when it was just medieval times. When it was armor and all that stuff with the what do you call people? Those knights in shining armor or something like that. But the way it kind of plays out is that the predator is about to be attacked by the snake, and he stabs the snake. And after that, he skins the snake, so he leaves the snake there, and he takes the backbone of the snake, and he puts it there to dry, like they did like with the other movies. Then after that, you have it where pretty much they're hunting for the lion, and then so half the family goes this way, the other half goes that way, and the predator is kind of amongst and watching them. It's like kind of watching their whole system that they're working, and going through it all, the sister decides to go with the brother to try and catch this lion, and it's like saying, how is there a lion, stinking mountain lion? Okay, mountain lion, cougar, you understand? Okay, cool. So it's a cougar, mountain lion, a puma. They're trying to catch that creature, and so what happens is like they go through the whole scenario of it all, and what happens is as they're saying they find a guy who's sick. She gives medicine to him, and the medicine helps cool his body and makes it, so his body can slow down so he doesn't bleed out, and that helps him out. And then after that, she's like, I gotta go warn my brother because she sees the footprint of a bear, but it's bigger than the bear, and it's really the footprint of the predator. So it just happens like as she sees the footprint, she sees that there's like a snake, a snake with no skin there, and she's like, oh goodness, I gotta warn my brother or something else. So she goes there and finds her brother. Her brother, he has a torch and all that, and she puts the torch out. He says, "You don't need a torch. You're gonna scare the lion. Lion's gonna come after you." So after they put the thing, and they're hunting for the lion at night. So I mean, they're hunting at night. And so they're kind of like the whole parallel, the predator type thing. Whenever the predator was doing all his stuff, he's always at nighttime hunting for the people. Except for in the Predator movie, the first one, where he's like during the day and he's hunting for them, but during the nighttime they were hunting, in Predator 2 movie, and kind of taking everybody in. But then that time, then you have all these different things. So it's like long story short, I keep saying that. What happens is like you have it where she goes back and she warns her brother. Her brother finds her, puts the fire out. They hunt the tiger. I mean, hunt the lion. Sorry, the lion, and the lion pretty much she's doing her best. She says you got to do this thing where you got to say to this is where you've stopped. You can go no further. And so he puts the spear out and it goes to fight the lion, and the lion catches one of the person. I think he eats one of the guy who was kind of mocking her, and the brother went to go make a trail to kind of trap the lion. And so, because before the hunter thing, they go out and they hunt. They're supposed to, in the hunter thing, you go and you hunt for the creature, and you kind of lay in wait, you know. But in this one, she kind of like wanted to draw them in and then lay in wait, as opposed to it's kind of like more like ensnare them as opposed to hunting them. It's more like a fishing, like you're doing a fishing kind of thing, as opposed to actively hunting. And so the whole thing about the honor system is that you have to hunt something that's hunting you. And so that's how the honor system works. So she went to fight the lion, and she gets knocked out. And then her brother has to drag her back to the camp, and then she's like, "Oh, I got to go back and fight the lion." And it's like, "No, listen, you kind of failed at that. I'm sorry. If your brother needed you, he would keep you there. But you know what? He had to drag you back, and he went back by himself to go find his lion. And then you see the brother coming in with lion head and all that stuff, and he brought it to the thing. And then so she was like, "We got to go find what that big creature was." Like, listen, we didn't. He's like, we can do this. I can do this. And so he's trying his best to encourage his sister. I mean, he's a real good encouraging brother. He tries his best. He's the older brother, and he gets like promoted to like war chief or something like that because he was able to go and hunt this lion and bring his sister back and all that. And they were able to save the guy with the medicine. So it's a whole bunch of things that kind of work out together. So how it is like you have this whole scenario where she has a place and she's what's doing, but she doesn't want to stay. She doesn't want to be like a regular person. She wants to be a hunter, and every time she tries to be a hunter, it doesn't kind of work out. So this is the first time, and she's hunting for something big, and so she figures out how to tie an arrow, tie a string to her tomahawk, and so it happens like she wants to be able to take that and she's able to throw it and take it back. And I'm just thinking like that looks great on video, but I don't know if it's real in real life. I mean, you catch it wrong, and that's gonna slice your hand right off. You catch it wrong, catch it right in your head. I don't know. I mean, like I understand. Go from like 1 second not having the ability to wielding the axe and you're missing deers. Now you're gonna wield an axe on a string and have to come back to you like on a bungee or like a yo-yo kind of thing. And I'm like, you're gonna take your head right off. And but hey, whatever. I don't know. It's a movie. So for the most part though, she had started learning that. So she couldn't catch a deer. She couldn't catch a lion. So she was able to use that technique to catch rabbits. So she's able to kill rabbits. So in the movie, you have it where the predator, right? Well, before that, you have the thing with the predator. He's like, before they show her rabbit killing skills, there's a predator is showing a rabbit, and the rabbit is being chased by a wolf, and the wolf is coming after the rabbit. He's watching it, and the wolf's about to get the rabbit, and then so the rabbit, he just kind of, the predator hits the wolf because he realized, okay, you know what, he's gonna eat the rabbit. Anyway, so what happens? Long story short, they have a thing where the wolf can sense the predator because the predator animals can sense. They have all these animals have sixth sense. They can sense otherworldly things. So what happens? The predator and the wolf face off, and then the wolf just bites the predator in the leg, and he just gets wounded and stuff like that. But not like so much. But he's kind of like he's kind of rising up in the ranks. So he took the snake head, and eventually he kills the wolf, and then he takes the wolf's skull and backbone and all that stuff like a normal predator. He goes like he normally does, right? So I'm telling you, it's like kind of like a rising ranks of the dangerous animal. So then after that, you have where she's trying to so they show she's trying to catch the rabbits, and she can't catch the rabbits with her conventional means, so she has to kind of improvise her tomahawk and make it into a weapon, and bring it back and all that stuff. So you have the next scenario is that you have it where you see her eating rabbits, and then the predator, he's getting better. He's shown how he deskulls, he deskins the skull and makes it into a thing where he has a emblem of, he has a skull he puts on his hip, kind of thing. Then after that, you have it where it's like, she starts hunting, trying to hunt a bear. So she's like, I can hunt a rabbit, let me hunt a bear. I'm thinking that's kind of a huge jump, but pretty much, hey, she wants to go that thing. She wants to prove herself. But what happens is like, she she goes to find the how goes on? She goes to find the the reason before that, her mom tells her, he's like, the reason you want to go out there and prove yourself, and you want to show that you're able to do these things. But the bottom line is that the reason you do this trial is because you have to survive. It's not like a thing you go to prove yourself like an honor, like, hey, I can do this, and I can open up a can of soda or something like that. It's like, listen, you're gonna do this because you have to survive. And so the whole 9/10 of it all, how the whole story goes after that, it's like she has to prove. First she was going to prove herself so she could be part of the clan, but then later, as her story progresses, she runs into the predator for the first time. But how it is, she's running from a bear because the bear's trying to kill her, and so she goes into a thing, and she like the video, and pretty much she's fighting the predator, and then um and then so what happens is like you have it where okay, so what happens like she has to go to sorry, my second question. She has to go and she finds a bear. She goes and hides in safety, and then the predator senses that she's about to be hunted. So how it is like, to the predator, she is like a rabbit now, and the rabbit is about to be attacked by the bear. So the predator was consistent in terms of like he's hunting the hunted, he's hunting not the hunted, but hunting the hunter who's hunting. So if the rabbit's about to be attacked, he hunts the wolf. She's about to be killed by a bear, so he hunts the bear. And so what happens? She's no threat to him, right, at all, and so she kind of understands that she's not a threat. She's considered prey to him, not a predator in reverse, but she's just a prey. And then she didn't realize that yet. But what happens is like the whole scenario is her her team, because she leaves that morning and she goes to go prove herself, and then she's hunting rabbits and then goes after the bear, and she leaves it after her mother told her that you don't just do this to prove yourself, you got to do this for survival. And so she goes to go find her way in the road, and what ends up happening is that as she goes the bear, and then she escapes from the bear and goes downstream, and then the team finds her and they say, hey, what's going on? Your brother sent me to find you, and she fights with the guys, and she bites one of the guys in the arm, and she's really good at scrapping with the people, but she really can't defeat a person either, at that point. But then she's fighting with her tribe, and they had to tie her up, and then later the predator comes to see what's up, because I mean now it looks like she's like the prey that the predator's following. The predator's kind of following to see who's going to try and attack her, and then that's kind of start playing out. So it begins like she's getting attacked by her tribe, and so instead he hunts the tribe now, and so not realizing that she's part of the tribe too, or maybe he does realize it, but you don't see the predator yet, but you see that he's really scary and hulking. Anyway, so the tribe goes and they all go to attack. They don't back down. They don't run. They go attack, but she runs away like like a rabbit. And so, but the thing is, they all go to attack, and then they all get picked off one by one, and they wound him in various ways. They stab him in the foot, all kind of things. They do all kind of stuff to the predator. I mean, predator getting like attacked. But he's the ugliest predator you're ever gonna see. Next one after that, he goes on. They run away, and he kills a friend. And he has a caster, like like the whole caster, like on the predator. His caster is not like the regular caster like that. He has to kind of draw the caster, like the one on the shoulder, like here on the one on the shoulder. He has to draw the caster like a crossbow. Take it out. It's not like on the shoulder like an automatic, like how it is in the movie. It's you have to take it out and you have to draw it, in order for it to work. And then so what happens? The helmet has the thing where it's like you can actually point to it, and it's pretty cool. So what happens whenever it points to, and it just kind of locks onto the three thing. It locks onto. What happens is that it'll hit exactly those targets. So it's advanced weapon. So it's kind of like a crossbow with laser sight. Laser sight crossbow. And anyway, so what happens after that? You have where as you're going through this, you start seeing that the predator doesn't seem to understand how to fight with people at first. It's like they usually fight with animals or something, but he just seems like he's really old, really ugly, and but you don't see it yet. But his weaponry is not. It's like it's not the best weapons you can have. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, he takes out a lot of people. But for the most part, though, you start to understand that you see what they have the improvement. They talked about it in the movie The Predators, in Predators with Adrian Brody, and in his situation, you have it where they say like that every year they come back with new weapons and better and stuff. Sometimes we kill one of them, then they come back with better and better weapons, and so. So they have weapons that'll go out there and do. So this was showing like some of the primitive weapons of the Predator, and I guess when you get to Predator, the first Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, you have it where the weapons are pretty much set. It's 300 years later. The weapons are much better. So I mean, between that, you're gonna have maybe a lot more Predator movies. But that one there is pretty cool. So anyway, so I was saying before, the bear. She was known as the bear. She was captured by her tribe, and pretty much to bring her back home because her brother sent out to get them. And she was like trying to hunt for the thing. She said, "I seen it. I seen what the creature is. It's horrible." And she said, "I think it's one of the things, like a story, a monster from her childhood." And so she says that, and it's like they're like, "Oh, monster from your childhood? Are you for real?" Anyway, long story short, they go into all these things. They say that, and it's like they have to hunt it, and the predator just decimates the whole team. They run away, and she gets captured. She steps into a trap, and she gets her foot, and he comes right to her, and he's like, he's like, ugh, almost like disgusted. He can't, you're like, you're such a victim. He's like, I'm leaving you alone. And then so after she gets captured by the trappers, because the trappers are the ones who, you know, um, who killed the bison. The evil white men in the movie who kill the bison, and they what do you call it? They just leave the skin there, leave their bodies there, and not take this, and just take the skins for their trapping. So they can make their fur collection and all that stuff. Long story short, what happens is she continues. She gets up, and they have her brother. They decide to use her and her brother as prey to catch the predator because they know that they're around there. So they burn like the forest, and they have a place with the forest where they can't. Everything is all burnt, so anything that can be smelled. I mean, it's very strategic how they try and catch the predator. And they tie the sister and brother back to back around a tree, and then so the predator comes in, and they try to capture him. They put his foot in a bear trap and all that. And after that, they knock him down. They put a net on him, and pretty much it's one of those things where he's just like he's able to subdue it. Gets him. He stabs him with the things, and there's in the heads and all that stuff, and he takes them out, and he throws a net on them, and his net's a kind of a binding net that kind of collapses and just continues to collapse and just turns you into pieces and chunks and stuff. Anyway, so after that, he just goes through the whole thing. He's fighting, and then the brother and sister trying to figure out how to get out because they don't. He said he realized they don't hunt for things that are not hunting them. You're not hunting me. I have no problem with you. Just leave me alone. But if you're hunting after me, I'm going to get you. So it's kind of like the theme of all the Predator movies. Is like if you're going to be attacked by the Predator, you just got to go attacking them. But if you're no threat to them, they're not even going to bother with you because it's about honor. If you're sick, they're going to leave you alone. If you're pregnant, they'll leave you alone. If you're, what do you call it? Like how we hunt. They're supposed to be honor. You're not supposed to hunt something that's like, that's of no threat. So how did this? She tried everything she tried to hunt. She couldn't hunt. She couldn't get except for like rabbits. So she's on the level of rabbit. So she never really attacked the predator or did anything to the predator until the very end of the movie, near the very end of the movie. And so what happens? She sees how his weaponry works and stuff like that, but not then. But she sees how he's able to like destroy and do a lot of stuff. So they're able to get free, and they do this thing where how they have before like the countdown timer. It blows up the thing. Well, he did a take on that where it's like instead of a countdown timer and it blows up the stuff, it just sends out little things that destroys everything in the region, and then the thing is alright. So it's kind of you can pick it up later and go get it. So anyway, so she escapes and and then pretty much she has to get healed up, and then she figures out that the medicine she has, remember in Predator 1 they had a thing with the mud when Arnold Schwarzenegger fell off the thing and he went in the mud and he couldn't see him in the mud, So what happened? You had to figure out a way that she could not be seen, but she didn't know that yet. She didn't know she couldn't see him. When she put that same thing to make the person's blood go cold and run slower, it caused that person to be invisible to the predator sensor, so you couldn't see them. They could only see warm blood. You couldn't see cold blood or cool blood, whatever. I don't know how that even works, but I guess whatever it is, it's a movie. So anyway, so she realizes that it's actually you can't see, so she gives a medicine to this guy, and the predator can't see the guy. So they're walking around, and he teaches her how to use a flintlock pistol. When you pull it back and you put the little thing on the flintlock pistol. So she gave him medicine to heal him because he had lost his leg fighting the predator, and so she gave him medicine. And after that, it was like one of those things where it just kind of like it's really cool. He helps him out, and what happens is the predator can't see him, and the predator accidentally steps on him, or he goes and he gets the predator kills him. So she learns that he can't see with the cold thing. So after that, she's gonna go fight, and pretty much her brother comes to save her again, and he says to her, you know what, this is where I stand. This is the last part where I stand. It's like I can go no further, and he really wounds the predator. So in that process, when he wounds the predator, he knocks off the mask, and you see this really hideously ugly predator. I mean, he is ugly. Instead of his claws going this way, his mouth is like that way. So it goes like that way down, and it comes up like this. So it's kind of like a pinchy mouth thing. It's just hideous. Okay, and then so anyway, what happened after that was that the brother stays to fight. Brother gets killed, and then she runs away, and she's like crying, and they tell the village that her brother's dead, and she's like kind of trying to figure out what to do, and she realized, I gotta hunt this predator. But there was a part where she realized when she was tied to the tree with her brother back to back that they were saying like, I'm no threat to this thing. The thing doesn't seem. It came right up to me. It was holding her chain by her foot, and she was like, and she's like, you're no threat. Like, you're wounded. You're no threat. You're like. So she realized that I have no ability to fight this thing. I'll never be a warrior. I'll never be able to be on the same level as the hunters of the clan of the tribe. And so what happens? Like, she decides to say to herself, what? I'm just gonna give up. But her brother says, what? You were able to. You're not a hunter like the rest of us. You are a different kind of person, and you have to do what your skill set says. So you have to kind of figure out how to do this. So it's almost as if you get killed by a bunny rabbit, or a bunny rabbit comes to kill you, and a bunny rabbit is really harmless, But this bunny rabbit had to use his bunny rabbit skills to turn itself. Like, I remember one time when I was on a dairy farm, I learned that you can't outmuscle a car. You can't outmuscle a cow. A cow is a strong creature. Cattle are strong, right? They're like 800 pounds of like massive power, all muscle. So if you try to push a cattle or something like that, what happens is that the cattle will push you back. So anyway, long story, what happens is that I was not able to push it. I had to outsmart them, and this is the situation with in this movie too. She had to outsmart the predator. So what she did was that she set up someone to pretend that he's attacking her, and the process of her she attacking him, or he attacking her. One of the guys who killed her brother. She had him in a situation where she gave him a gun, and she knew how to use the gun, one of those long rifles, a flintlock rifle, and she just pretty much was trying to shoot at him. And so it was always the predator always hunted the hunter, not the hunted. So he's hunting the hunter, and when he went to go, the guy had no thing, but she was able to put the cool into her body, and so she was invisible to his radar. So he walked right past her to go kill this guy on the ground who had no weapons but holding a gun. So after that, when he turned it back and he went to pick up the skull, because his first time he got like a skull or so, a backbone, he's like, wow, this is really cool. And she got behind him and she was like, boom, shot him in the back of the head, knocked his mask off, right? After she knocked the mask off, she took the mask and she understood how the thing was, because when the brother was fighting, the caster was shooting and it would go right to the target, right? And it would miss the brother, but it would dodge out of the way and go right to exactly where the pointer was, where the light was pointing. So she understood the mask was targeted right to it. She took the mask and she set it up. She set up some traps. She went to go fight him, and it's a one-on-one fight. And she really couldn't harm this predator. I mean, she could not. He had to pretty much harm himself, the whole battle through it all. So he had a thing where he went to fight. He had this really cool like arm gauntlet thing that I'm gonna make later, and it was like a big old circle thing, like a shield. And the shield was like, I mean, he put his hand up against this thing, and he was able to chop the guy's head off. It was just, man, it was like really, wow, intense. And he chopped his head, chopped the tree behind him. So you're like, dag, kind of thing. Long story, you have this thing where all these ways it works. It's like what I understood about the story. So in the end, she was able to defeat him. She tricked him, and she defeated the predator. And she took the head back to the thing, because they said that when you do a killing of a hunting, you have to bring back to the tribe. You have to show the tribe that you did this. So you have to survive the attack. You got to take the head of the creature and bring it back to show the tribe that you did this. So when she brought it back to the tribe, I'm going to tell you how detailed she beat the predator, because it was just really cool how she did it. And she did it like, using his weapons against him. Like most times in all the other movies that use the weapons against him, you have Predator 2 used the weapons against him. Yeah, in the other Predator movies, same thing, used the weapons against him. So, but this one's like all the other Predator movies, they had to use their weapons against them in order to fight them, and that's how they always did. It's how they always win. But in this one here, in the end of it, they had the gun that she shot the Predator in the back of the head with was the same gun from Predator 2, and then so she's like, where she handed it to the people, she's like, here, she threw the gun at them, and he caught it, and it said 1719 from the Predator 2 movie. So after that, when you watch the credits, you have a thing where they show you that pretty much the Thunderbirds are coming back. So you have there's going to have to be a Predator 2 movie. Anyway, what I learned from this movie was that you can see the progression of the movie building up. They did a really good job with the animals and the prey. The predator only hunts hunters. The twist of this movie is that the predator doesn't see her as a threat until she takes her first attack on him, and the first attack is when she shoots him in the back of the head, which is not even an honorable thing. You shoot somebody in the back of the head, that's not even honorable. you shoot somebody in the front. You face to face like a firing squad. Back to back is it's even a cowardly move. But she did that, and it was able to start the process. So he's like, he was more like annoyed with her than being hunted by her, and I realized that she set him up into a trap. She used her weakness to catch him, and then pretty much I think this was the first official predator to attack humans in 1719. Because I mean, he was all interested in hunting animals. I mean, in the predator movies going forward, they weren't hunting animals; they were hunting people. So, but then all the ones here. So this one begs for a sequel. And my take on this movie, I liked how it was in terms of how it plays out. That the way that you're looking at the predators and how they were growing in the situation. I would have to think they would have to take the body back and examine how that person died and how he lost his head from where the person died in the swamp. You'd have to have one of those situations where it's like you'd have to kind of like do an analysis as to how he lost, or maybe the recording from his helmet, how he lost and all that. Because I mean the helmet would still be there. And then the next thing would be like when she wore the war paint of the predator's blood, the green blood glowing on her face. And then in the credits you see the progression of her story and how she kept failing. She kept failing. It was different in terms of like she was she has like a Mary Sue aspect to it where she's fighting and she's kind of fighting against people and she's winning, but she really doesn't fight well against the predator. I mean, she could not do a one-on-one with him. If it wasn't for him like self-sabotaging himself, that kind of things, he would not have been able to. And then she got saved a lot in the situation too. But what I liked about the movie was it was it just kind of showed that you have to kind of think a different way to deal with a problem, and you may not have the skill set to fight like everybody else. Because I mean, all the other guys were hunters, and all their weapons, they had guns, they had the flintlock pistols, and they had to reload their guns with their the powder and the little ball to for the pistols, you know, and you had the arrows, and you had people with knives, and you've had the animals attacking, and they could not beat this predator, but she had to turn his own weapons against him to be able to, and she had to be like a no threat because every time he came up to her, he was like, "Come on, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?" And she didn't do anything, and so he was like, "Well, I had no reason to hunt you because you're like a rabbit." So the only thing she killed before that was I guess other people, because she killed the French trappers, and then pretty much she was able to escape, and she was able to use the weapons against itself, and they showed the progression of that. So I think it was a brilliantly written movie. I would watch it again. I would look forward to add this to the collection. I might even make a character of Naru and see how she's doing. Put her in the mix of everything. But for the most part, though, I think it was a pretty good movie. I'd watch it again. So I've seen it twice already, and I really like it. So I'm gonna go before my camera dives out here. But for the most part, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This was a pretty cool movie. I have more. Let me just show you the Predator again. This is the Predator that I've made, and so with the masking tape. Here is the masking tape, and here is also. All right, so she's like masking tape too. All right, so this is all I'm gonna show you. So pretty much, I'm gonna make one for the new Prey movie. I'm in the process of kind of working on it right now. So it's been 2 days. Just working on this guy, so I'm gonna have that ready for maybe presentation on Saturday. All right, so I just want to say that I have a Predator Gremlin that I can't really get right now, but I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Oh, I just want to tie in real quick before I say goodbye. The Bible talks about how when we are weak, then we are strong, and our strength does not come from ourselves, but from the Lord. This movie, what I thought about was that her ability came from knowing things, and just a few things she knew was able to help her win against a real serious threat. She didn't think of it as anything, but that was the thing that helped her. Her inability to be a hunter was what helped her become a good hunter, and it wasn't because she was she was great at what she did, but because of the fact that she knew what she knew. And sometimes that's a little thing that we have. And sometimes just knowing who our Creator is, the one who made us. My life verse is Ephesians 6:10. Is finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of His might. And what that means is that you're looking at the situation where my strength does not come from my abilities, but from knowing the Lord. And the Lord is what gives me strength to fight the problems that we face on a daily basis. So just want to say that. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. No matter what problems come along the way, you have some skills that can help the situation. You don't have to fight like how they ask you to fight, but you can be wise and know how to navigate a situation. So, God bless you. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. All right, bye. Peace.